Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing on this prosperity day? It is Monday, somewhere in the universe. How are you? So good to see you. It's been a fabulous day here. The sun is shining and all is well, at least in this reality around my sphere. So, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. And it is very much appreciated. I just thank all of you, and you've made this a heck of a journey. It's been fun, and it is going to continue to be fun. Saw the pileated headed woodpecker. I mean, it's a big guy. And they make their home on our woods, and it's far out, man. That's all I got to tell you. Nature is just cool, isn't it? So, speaking favor over us all, planting the seed. The seed, once it's planted, it will produce sometimes tenfold, hundredfold, thousandfold. So, hey, favors with you. So, thank you. Nothing missing, nothing broken either. Powerful words. Jackie will tell you. Ben Greedy, good to see you. And A Beneficiary, good to see Elderberry. Good to see my friend. Rick, what's up, Truth? Good to see you. Saw, man, the names are going by. Whoop. Hey, Grace. Truth. That Evelyn Wood speed reading class. I was like, okay. Dave, what's up? Robert, good to see you. Chloe, much love, darling. And all the rest of y'all, thank you for tuning in. Goddess, how are you doing, Avina? Good to see you. Jack A. So excited about getting into this topic. Um, it's one that has fascinated me for as long as I can remember. It's been here. Studied this thing, uh, from the Christianity perspective for decades. I believed it, saw signs and wonders, manifestations, um, of spirits that, or at least what was our perception from individuals that displayed um, unusual behavior. Now, as I have grown, which is what you're supposed to do, I have found that whether you're in a belief system, you're in some sort of belief system, um, these beings permeate our consciousness. The average person will give mental assent when you talk to them about angels, and then you ask, well, are angels good? And most people say, yeah. And what about demons? Oh, demons bad. And that's about the extent of it, because the ignorance is, and it's not a derogatory term here, it's just plain ignorance. They don't study. They don't want to study. As far as they're concerned, I'll just keep that in the closet, man. I mean, no, 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 no. Now, listen, I know it's true, but we don't mess with that stuff, and that's basically attitude. Now, in certain um, sects of Christendom, deliverance ministry is a big deal. You can make a lot of bucks off it. And deliverance ministry is not just Christian. It New Age, metaphysical, big business. And why? Because everybody wants to get the monkey off their back, never realizing that they're the ones that actually put the monkey up there to begin with. But having said that, and again, the perception of angels, demons, how are they? What kind of structure is there? And the truth is, I mean, I spent all weekend really getting back into this book. I mean, I really enjoy this book. It's one that the more I read, the more it's something happens. I mean, it there. I don't know if it's necessarily a portal, but awareness certainly is brought forth. Now, I kind of looked at being aware is probably a pretty good idea. Hey, Regina, good to see you. Abundant favor, right back at you. Hello, Kitty. What's up? So, when it comes to understanding what awaits all of us on the other side, most people can't define it. The ambiguity runs amok. Well, tell me, what is it going to be like on the other side? I don't know. Well, what are you expecting? Not really sure. Okay. Are you going to still exist after death? I hope so. I mean, that's a genuine answer. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you take the step of becoming an adept, an initiate, of which I am, many of you are as well. Hey, Lost in Space. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Hello, Nina. Mark, good to see you. DC, hello. As Loretta, as I'm looking over there in the chat room. Um, most have no understanding that the other side have structure. It has hierarchy. There are no doubt rules, laws. Um, it may be distant, separated by this in-between realm, and even that realm has structure and complexity. I want to get into this really quick because this is just to me. I'll just tell you, for myself, it has always been something that I have marveled at. The structure of the hierarchy of this kingdom. And I studied this kingdom when I was, believing in the dude with the sandals, man, and eating the mushrooms. I mean, I still look back at the writings and it contains a lot of knowledge. You just have to sift out, you know, the religious part of it. But if you just kind of read it as a narrative, good stuff. So, the complexity of this kingdom. So angels rule the seven heavens. How do we know about the seven heavens? Well, Paul wrote about it in the book of Galatians. He talks about that he was taken up, whether he says in the body or the spirit, he was not sure, into heaven. And in there was seven layers to heaven, seven kingdoms to heaven. And that kind of goes with the Jesus dude because, he said, I go away to prepare a place, right? Because he said, my dad's kingdom, man, there's a lot of kingdoms. He's right. There are angels sit on thrones. I mean, if you believe in the whole construct, then it would emulate that which it was fashioned after, right? So there's 64 angels or wardens of the seven celestial halls. Let your imagination run on this, kids. There are governing angels for each month. A lot of people think that's occultish. No, actually, it goes way back. We know that of these angels, they are spirits. They're called messengers. They're called intelligences of the seven planets. Okay. You have angelic governors of the zodiac. Amazing, isn't it? Says all angels and demons have rank. Some are known as kings, some are known as princes, some are known as lords, governors, dukes, captains, rulers, and the list goes on. I mean, even the lowest ranked angel has a portion that it is even over. It never stops, it's the nesting dolls. You just keep on it, man. How far does this go down? Now, one of the things that I studied extensively, I wrote on this as when I used to teach on well, primarily this subject. The supernatural has always been with me. And the supernatural just means that, again, I am unique and that makes me special. And I have natural abilities. So I'm supernatural. And so are you. Anyway, I know this. I have broke this down in the Greek. I have taken my Lexington at the time lexicon, and it just did a whole detailed study on Hebrews 6:12. Says, but against depositions, against powers, against the master spirits who are the world rulers of this present darkness, against the spirit forces of wickedness in the heavenly supernatural sphere. It's Ephesians 6:12. And each one of these, and depending on what interpretation you have of this scripture, of which there's many, still, even the most milquetoast version shows you that there is this kingdom. And that's not a kingdom. I mean, there's this sphere. That's what he calls it. We are engulfed in this sphere, and this outer sphere has complexity, organization. It operates on a system, and it either encompasses ours or it encroaches upon ours. He also says it's very interesting that the present darkness in if you look at that, what that word means, it basically means something coming in and taking the light out. It's just so anyway. As again, these are ancient, highly advanced civilizations. If you follow the narratives, there's plenty of evidence to show that there's something here. We're going to study about some of these demons that you can call upon. One whose specialty is making humans, invisible. So these are advanced civilizations. You have archangels and angels of the 7 days of the week, even to, you get it down to the second. There's an angel or a demon that has rule over that. And you might not say, well, what is a second? Depends on your point of view. If you can slow down time, it could be an eternity. I mean, the only thing that allows us to exist in this realm is that you and I have this synchronicity within us. There is a timing that is our spirits, our souls, or they're in tune to this timing. We're all of the same timing, the same time space. And if we didn't have this time synchronicity within us, we wouldn't be here. You would phase out. So you have angelic governors of the 7 planets. You have angelic governors of the hours of the day and night. And the Liber Lilith taught us this as well. I mean, there's plenty of that. So 72 angels bearing the name of God. Now, this is not the capital. This is not the L, but this is God. There's 70 amulet angels involved. These go back. And, if you study what Frater Setdeck, he teaches you how all of this works. And there's plenty of books to go with this. And then, again, this book, The Lesser Keys of Solomon, it's an academic book, but it's fantastic because it's loaded with so much. Again, complexities. There's archons, there's chief angels, princes of the altitudes. There's 28 ruling in the 28 mansions of the moon, archangels of the Sephiroth, archangels of the unholy Sephiroth, the watchers, the serum, chief celestial, angels, princes, archangels of punishment, archangels not of humanity, but of death. I mean, they have this whole structure, and these angels, these demons, the truth is that they die. And again, it's one of the uniquenesses about us. So we'll get into this because I want to get into the actual books that we'll be studying. But Excuse me, as it goes over here. The point is that I would interpret them not as angels and demons. I would interpret them as one of two classifications. They're either off-worlders or they're in-worlders. They're either from a different planetary system, a different galaxy, um, or they're here stuck with us. Either way, they've been here apparently before us, if you follow the narrative. Now, there's the other side of it that says that we created all these egregores. Well, even if we created these thought forms, they exist and they take on life themselves because we as gods, we create. You see, I don't see angels having coitus with one another and producing baby angels. So that tells me something right there about the species. If they do not have the ability to reproduce, then what's going on here? It would suggest, just on the mere surface of it, it would suggest that they're a dying species. I mean, if they can interlope time, does that mean still that death is not a factor in their existence? Just asking for a friend. Um, but nevertheless, there are these books. Now, there are so many books. Stephen Quayle did a lot of writing. I've got all of his, on the angel wars. And, even though he writes it from a Christian perspective, there's a lot of esoteric knowledge in these books. And it has to deal with the fact that they appear to exist. Now, I don't know why they chose sides. If they chose sides, then that means, my attitude is, hey, this thing was going way before I got here. I really don't want to get involved. I wrote to Nathan over the weekend, who lives in Poland, and make sure to check out his stuff over on Etsy's. But that if they're at war with one another, then that means they're related to one another. Unless we're talking two different type of species here. And extending on from that, then if these beings can't reproduce themselves anymore, then it would give a lot of credence as to why they get involved with our lives. I mean, maybe they're fascinated with us. I contend that I'm superior to any angel, any demon, because I am an immortal spirit that took on mortality. I made the blending. I passed that initiation. So did you. And unless they can actually come and show me that they have passed the birthright, I can't see it. So that makes me superior to them no matter how long lived they are, no matter what their consciousness of. I did that. So did you. So again, that is my position. I can't find where these creatures have actually ever been born. So it tells me something right there. Because if we're related, which apparently we are in some degree, I don't understand, seems a little whacked out that you're saying that I am in some way related to that angel or to that demon. Seems like there's a lot of incest going on here because somebody's getting fucked. It's just the reality of it. But in any case, so that's kind of where I see this. But having said that, these beings, they love us. Oh, some say that they have a problem with us. I can dig that. I mean, apparently they seem to have emotion, at least to what I've read. And they are, in fact, fascinated with us. We're we are just curious things. So the other thing you will find, what we're going to get into, is how to control these beings. They want to work for you. That's just the strange thing about it. But so few humans pursue it. And those that do are considered to be whack jobs. Why would you ever do that? Well, my answer back is that, are you going to die one day? You bet you are. So where's your sorry ass going to go? What, you think that you're going to be somehow immune from these beings? They transcend that death. Now, I don't know how they're doing it, but again, they seem to be long-lived. They don't seem to reproduce, so that means there's a set number of them, which means that if we continue on, if you just do the math, the eventuality becomes that we outnumber them. But they seem to have this fascination with it, and they want to do things. Now, humans are complex creatures. We're both, saints, and we're both, sinners at the same time. At the same time. So let's get into this. Now, I want to show you, there are some books, again, some of the best books are the writings of John Dee. I mean, if you read his writings, he says that he interacted with these beings. Seems to know a lot about them. They gave him knowledge of them. All right. You can take it, put into that what you want. But great book. And we'll get into this as we go on. And these are his 5 books of the mystery. Same guy, as you've noticed, who wrote and edited this book, is also the author and editor on these. So this is from the collection of works known as the Mysterium Libre, and I think that is Quanticule. Yeah. But I want to get into the lesser keys. So these demons, these angels, they want to do things for humans because they're voyeurs. They're voyeuristic. They watch us when you take a shower or when you're doing whatever you're doing that nobody else you want to see. They're watching. Now, I don't know if they're getting off on that or if they're just simply, I mean, how many times can you see something of a personal nature of a human being? So if you feel like sometimes when you're in the shower that somebody may be looking in on you, they are. So, now, so in this book, which contains all the names, the offices, and orders of all the spirits that ever have, that Solomon said that he had conversations with, they showed him the seals, the characters to each one of these spirits, and the manner of calling them forth to visible appearance. It's in 5 parts. The first book is the book of evil spirits, called the Goetia, showing how he bound up those spirits and used them in general things whereby he obtained great fame. What they did was they showed him where the gold was at. They showed him where buried treasure was at. They began to show him how things and natural progression of order, how the events in the future were going to happen. And if you adjusted right now, allowing the natural events of that future order to come to pass, and you had the knowledge prior to that. Yeah. So the second part of the book of spirits is partly evil and partly good. There's bad angels and there's good angels. There's good divine ones or demons, and there's bad ones. Again, it's all in the family. The third part is of spirits governing the planetary hours and what the spirits belong to every degree of the signs and the planets of the signs, called the Pauline art. The fourth part of this book is called the Amadil, and or Solomon, which contains the spirits which govern the four altitudes or the 360 degrees of the zodiac. The last two orders of spirits are good and to be sought by the divine seeking, you, myself, and they are called the Thugara. The fifth part of the book of orations and prayers that wise Solomon used upon the altar in the temple. And I always found that's really interesting. So Solomon is invoking these demons on the very altar that Yahweh has said is holy. I often wonder, so is the showbread there as well? What about the heavenly utensils? Are they there? How could this happen? How could he be doing this upon the altar in the temple? I mean, we're talking about the freaking temple. I showed y'all the miniature scale of it. Hey, I'm just asking for a friend. That which is called the Eris Nova, which was revealed to Solomon by the holy angel of God called Michael. And he also received many brief notes written with the finger of God. Now, my question is God right-handed or left-handed? Which finger? Did he give us this finger? Let me just tell you how this is how I feel about you guys. I mean, I'm just asking. But we definitely got the finger, which was declared to him by the said angels with claps of thunder, without which the notes of King Solomon had never obtained his great knowledge. Now, I got this picture of how many of you remember Laugh-In? Dan Martin and Rowan and Martin, excuse me. Uh, but, they had the fickle finger of fate. Just, I'm wondering, is this where they got that from? Anyway, so if he hadn't had these crypt notes, man, the guy would have been like everyone else, apparently. Then you've got this whole the Clauvicus, and this is the book contains all the names and the orders and the offices of the spirits with which Solomon ever conversed. And this has got 5 books to it. The first book is concerning spirits of evil, which is termed the Goetia of Solomon, shows forth his manner of binding these spirits for use in divine divers, different things. And hereby did he acquire great renown. The second book is, which is the Triath of spirits mingled of good and evil natures. This is the magical wisdom of the spirits Ariel, the air, whereof some do abide, but certain wander, which means, okay, what are they, nomadic? Apparently. Um, and then you get into the fourth book. This is the art of Almadi and of Solomon, concerned those spirits which to be set over the quaternary of the altitudes. Very complex as you get in. My mind was just envisioning what, as these words, as they're being imprinted upon the image of my soul, you go, wow. The thing about it is, for this discussion points, I always found that how did Paul know all this stuff? I'm convinced if Paul had a copy of the Liber Lilith, then it shows me that Paul is more of a sorcerer than this saint, where he had a way to incorporate this knowledge to his own image. Thomas Jefferson, they said, well, what do you believe in the New Testament? And he said, which one? I mean, you've got those first 4 books, which ain't nothing like the latter books. So anyway, he had something. So again, we continue to find out these different angels, demons, all of them play a part of this. They're all deeply involved. Um, And I want to get into actually where it gets into, okay. So we're going to go over here. Yeah, there we go. So preliminary work. As one explores and seeks to understand those deep desires which motivate, inspire, and sometimes terrify us, we are building a strong, blackened tower of self. Interesting term, isn't it? Blackened. Remember when the craze was back in the day when they had blackened redfish? Anyway, this allows us to not only understand our feelings and perceptions, but the possibilities of becoming something better. The Goetia has as its tool is a tool of darkness. It is also a tool of strengthening the self, one of fiery light. One must observe the nature of goetic spirits, which generally may be harmful or beneficial depending on how one may approach them. In a modern context, the magician is now able to step out of the medieval mode of summoning separately. Rather, the sorcerer now moves forward into the point between the summoner and the summoned. This is the axis of which all change, self-deification, and the Weinerschen's dance of the adversary is accomplished and developed. One may perform rites based around the princes of the infernal realm or the sub-princes accordingly. Much of this useful information may be found in Mr. McGregor Mather's translated book, The Book of the Sacred Magic of the Abraham, the Magi. So Abraham, now wait a minute. I thought the patriarch of the Abrahamic religions, his name originally was Abram, and oddly enough, Abram comes from Sumer. Sumer are the earliest civilization that we have records on. They predated the Hebrews by 2,500 years. So Abram would have, and by the way, his family worshiped the moon goddess Inanna. Now he would have known about Enki and Enlil. So Abram comes and switched sides. But it says here that he was a magician, a sorcerer. Okay. Cheers. My, what happens when you begin to peel the onion? All right, so the four infernal princes are Lucifer, east from Lux Pharaoh, the light bearer. A common shadow association is Lucifer, Lucifer, Latin for fly the light, and may have close associations with Metaphysics. Lucifer, in this aspect, is the angel of light, the adversary. Lucifer is a title which is beheld by the fire jinn Azazel, being the first angel, fallen from the stasis of light. By this manner, Lucifer is the liberator and developer of humanity with his gifts of the black flame or individualized self-perception. Wow. I can hear people right now going, that ain't no Lucifer that I know of. Well, of course not. Lux Pharaoh. I love that. Light bearer. A common shadow, capital S. Association is with Lucifer. Latin for fly the light, fly the light. Wow. And may have close associations with the old I can say this word, but anyway. Lucifer in this aspect is the angel of light, the adversary. Well, but that's what Satan means. Oh, well, Satan is the accuser and the adversary. All right. Lucifer is a title which is beheld by the fire jinn, Azel, being the first angel fallen from the stasis of light. The stasis. By this manner, Lucifer is the liberator and developer of humanity with his gifts of the black flame or individualized self-perception. I thought about this when I was reading this over the weekend, and I wrote myself notes in my book. It's interesting because we never hear any teaching, any theology, or any ideas of what would Adam and Eve be like if in fact that they were created and they were in fact created in this perfect realm. We know that we weren't. There was already conflict, division, bifurcation. And then I often wonder, well, would we have been merely the immigrant, the gardener, working the garden, tending to the animals? Would that have been our natural destiny? Because no matter how you look at it, when the serpent came into the story, she brought with her, what was it? The tree of knowledge of both good and evil. How do you have progress without good and evil? You have to have both. Otherwise, you have stagnation. So as I said before, Lucifer is the one if I had the chance to interview any being in any realm, this would be, I think, the absolute coolest thing that you could ever do. Love to have lunch. I think it is her, but I don't know. Whatever. But just to be able to sit down and talk with a being of that nature. Blow your mind, wouldn't it? Leviathan, west from Lethan, the crooked serpent, dragon of the sea. Leviathan is the daemon of immortality and initiation, that the beast and scarlet whore moves through to arise from the oceans as the beast 666, the solar spirit of manifestation and creativity. I can guarantee they did not teach this in Bible class. I can guarantee it. No way. I don't even think that the teachers that, I remember back in the time would even, no. You spout this, they're going to be laying hands on you. And if you keep spouting it, they're going to give you the left foot of fellowship right out the freaking door. And don't come back. The demon of immortality and initiation. That the beast and the scarlet whore moves through to arise from the oceans of the beast 666, the solar spirit of manifestation and creativity. Wow. Okay. Hey, we got Satan now. It's from the south. Got that southern drawl. I always thought Satan was a southerner. Howdy, y'all. My name is Satan. Anyway, he's from the south. You've got to point to the south when you're dealing with him. From the root shatin, meaning adversary. Satan is the name associated with Azel, the fire jinn, who is also Lucifer and Samael. Isn't that a trinity? Just talking. The goat with 1,000 names by form. Satan equals Set on, the ancient Egyptian god of darkness, chaos, and isolation. Satan is the adversary, whose symbol can be viewed as the forked stave which rises in the noontide sun. Now I know where Poseidon's fork came from. Belial, north from Baal, a wicked one. Baal is the spirit of the earth, created second after Lucifer, Azazel, as a powerful angel. Baal is a powerful daemonic and angelic spirit and initiator, and is associated with both the infernal and celestial. I mean, can you imagine just walking into an auditorium and here all these, you know, entities are? How you doing? How you doing? I mean, and the owl is apparently bad mofo. You don't want to be messing with him. Now, the sub princes are and should be considered shadow forms of the infernal princes. Complexity. Samael, east, being the angel of fire, who is Azazel. Samael is the demon prince who is married to Lilith and father of Tubal-Cain. The root word of Samael is Sem, which translates idol or image. We've had them over for dinner. Great, great dinner guest. I mean, they are conversationalist. There won't be a quiet moment, I can assure you. Azazel, west, associated with Azrael, the angel of death, or the Egyptian Anubis, the god of the dead. Azazel represents the west and the realm of twilight. Whew. Azazel, south, associated with the element fire, as Azazel is the fire jinn of Islamic Sufism. In Hebrew, Azazel is the scapegoat, associated with the root Oz, meaning goat and devil, a sexual force. Man, I could get into that one. And that's the thing about it is, no one wants to talk about the sexual force in all of this. And, it's somehow freaking taboo because you got to watch what you say because you really can't get into, it's like we're not mature adults. It's like if you can't talk about something that is a force, a creative force, it's a destructive force, then you're going to remain ignorant on it. I got a library full of, how to harness this sexual force and how to use it in the moment of coitus. I mean, yeah. But anyway, so Mahaziel, north, associated with earth, being Cain or the Egyptians set as the lord of the earth in the Typhon lore. Mahazel comes from the root word mazel, meaning to consume and devour, and is associated with Amaon, a great demon, great divine one. Wow. Love this stuff. All right. The dragon walk of the coiling dragon is the adverse trance way of the adversary. Thus, the initiate becomes as the image and essence of the shaitan through the invocation of the four powers under the infernal princes. In the coiling of the black light and the cunning fire, may the sorcerer become isolated and strong against the natural order. The individual is separated, yet a fire-made vessel of Azazel Lucifer, known as Azazel Yusel, the demonic angel of adversary awakenings. So I want to stop right here because it just hit me, and thank you for the so we're so trained mentally that when we see the word adversarial or anything associated with that, we consider that to be a negative. But actually, it's a very positive thing because the fact, if let's just take sleep, what would be the adversary of sleep? Awakeness. And if you didn't have the adversary of awakening, you what would be the point of your existence? And that's why I always think about these beings. I've been meditating on thinking again like an angel, like a lord, like a governor. I mean, I have been in boardrooms where I held the same title, but the company was much bigger than mine. But the reason why I was accepted in that because I knew and acted as a CEO. I wasn't intimidated. It's the same attitude you have to have in dealing with these beings. Because it's like when I was in my youth, worked 2 summers as a wrangler. And I love horses. They're magnificent creatures. Oh, they're magnificent. But the thing I know about a horse is that a horse can sense fear a mile away. They know if a human is afraid of them. And that's the wrong way to approach these magnificent beings. They'll hurt you. Same way. Now, if I'm going to, for instance, bring a horse in that hasn't been broken yet, the only way to get that horse's cooperation is that there's going to have to be a challenge. Someone's going to have to put a saddle on that horse, and usually it goes by a process. You put on the saddle blanket, then you eventually get to the saddle, and then you finally get it cinched up and you get it out there into the corral. You know, the horse knows that there's going to be a battle here. Superior ability and tenacity will be the ruling part. And when you finally, that horse bucks it out of it, it becomes very docile. It isn't any less powerful. Anyway, for those of you who know horses, Gaia, I think you know exactly where I'm coming from. Robert V has it, and I'm sure knows the same thing. All right, so begin the rite in the southern quarter relative to Azazel, the initiator of the path. The sorcerer should construct the circle of the dragon as one uses in this Goetia, encircling the self in an announced conjuration of the 4 quarters. And then you go forth. And these are, I have to say, when you read this, you're going, okay, I mean, you better have some confidence in yourself because you're bringing in the A team. So, Azazel, I summon the fire jinn, the jinn of the southern quarter, to be the torch which would ignite me, immolate me in your presence as your child on the path of shadow unto light. And I'm remembering, because remember, we read about this God who's claiming that he created all this. He created a light that we had no idea what that light is. It apparently is just as powerful as the light that we consider to be light. Maybe we've been deceived in thinking that the light that we see is associated with somehow holiness and the light of our enlightenment, but never realizing, in fact, it's the opposite. Samael, the great dragon, transformed, I summon thee as Fluminio Lucifer. the morning star of the east, the serpent angel of the emerald crown who fell to earth. Awaken now and open forth the gates of the imagination by air and dream. Wow. Again, this battle. There had to be a battle. I don't know if there were spaceships flying or if they had Kung Fu fist of flying, but apparently it was one hell of a battle. So why would God give up Earth? Apparently he did. Gave it to Lucifer or Satan, whoever you want to say. Mahazel, father of the witch spirit, who blesses and curses under the hidden and bright moon. I do summon thee forth unto me, initiator of flame and iron. Come thou forth unto this circle, horned beast and angel perfected. Awaken to my northern calls of the earth. In hearth and forest shall you walk with me. In shadowed valley shall you walk as me with me. In desert and mountain shall you carry my body in the circle of being. Mahazel, incarnate within. Wow. Azel, as the candle burns out and as the sun fall into darkness, I call unto thee, Azel, spirit of the western gates of twilight and the grave. I summon thee forth, show unto me your mask of the dead, and encircle me in the spirits of thyself. I seek to walk between the darkness and the light. I come unto thee as the beast from the ocean, the dragon arisen. Open forth the path of serpents, open forth the path of the dragon. Hakus, Haku, Hakas. Wow. Working with the demonic spirits. Demonic spirits are essentially chaotic, infernal forces which are bound to and from the shadow and dark places of the earth. One should approach demonic spirits as something other than the self. They are a testing ground. The ones who would have you face the skull containing the waters of Leviathan, or initiation. They would have you drink deeply of the gnosis, which reveals the Luciferian mind, that which questions and is strong within it. One should not approach the chaotic spirits with fear. If the mind is clear upon the initiatory intent, then this is a building point of character associated with the spirit therein. Daemonic spirits, or the jinn, are the phantasms, which congress and communicate with those who partake of the in the infernal sabbat, the conclave of witches and sorceress beings of night walking, dreaming gnosis. You liking this stuff? It's not something you're going to see on the evening news, that's for sure. Daemonic spirits are often fallen angels, those who have tasted from the golden cup of the celestial realm of Lucifer, and by falling into the infernal realms, have learned that the dark ways of their own sorcerous making. Such daemonic forces are but in some ways mirrors of ourself. We must gain by association and invocation. This, by this work alone, will strengthen and develop the very self of the sorcerer, the ever-changing Luciferian and Promethean essence from which the body and mind itself a grand grimoire of shadowed knowledge. Our soul must be inflamed as the serpent and must work accordingly as the devil in flesh. the tester of the limits, and the initiator upon earth. Work always with a goal in mind and do not dabble with the spirits of the Goetia. You have been warned. Okay, let's find out about working with the angelic spirits. That's like going past a biker bar and you don't have any business in there because you don't know those people. You don't have any idea to them. You know, Gilbert, am I not telling the truth? I mean, it's not going to be your downtown martini bar. Now, there are some good people in there, a lot of good people. But again, you have to have an akin on that. So the angelic spirits are celestial or Empyrean forces based primarily in the element air. They are commonly associated with Lucifer and are the higher articulated solar and lunar shadow forms of the intrinsic guide. By one conjoined with the demonic spirit, the self develops in balance rather than repression and self-deception. Such angels are fallen and contain a daemonic or infernal aspect to their character. Approach this with respect and seek to become like the essence you so seek. The angelic spirits of the Shem Ham For Rosh are the guardians who lead one to the threshold, to Azel, to the Shaitan. Spirits should be invoked as how Lucifer would command, by resolve and silent perception. Do not act upon impulse. Rather, refine your thought to work for you. Consider the higher articulation of the spirit and how this may associate with the balanced aspects of the self. In most cases, the daemonic is in relation to the angelic, a combination of celestial and infernal aspects. When invoking either a daemonic or angelic spirits, one must control every thought based on the desire and will, not to mention the impulses which may come forth. In most cases, the sorcerer will feel differently as he or she invokes the forces that is, the mind moves with inspiration under the spirit summoned. Such methods of invocation act not in mere possession in most cases, rather activates areas of perception according to the individual's association with inspirational knowledge or impulses. Angelic spirits are those which infuse us with the fire of Lucifer, that which fell from heaven. This is the gnosis of the celestial Sabbat, knowledge gained from the spirits of the air. The Luciferian spirits, the spirits of air, are often celestial, white shades, or blackened shapes, depending on the lower or higher nature of their being. It is the goal of the magician to be able to, in an astral sense, shapeshift into either an illuminated or shadow aspect of being, as is the reflection of the being. Simplicity in ceremonial magic and sorcery is significant to achieve a strong point of gnosis or magical thought. The operator who is intent on summoning a spirit of the Goetia will be focused on this act, to where he or she identifies with the daemon in question. To allow a clear and controlled pattern of magical development, the sorcerer should be calm and focused beforehand on a specific and willed outcome. No individual should enter the ritual chamber to perform ceremonial magic while lacking a defined intent and desire. Why are you summoning the spirit? What do you wish to accomplish? How will you learn from this spirit? How will you implement the knowledge obtained from this act? How does this sharpen and define your being further? Two aspects of the self may be crystallized in the development of the body of light and the body of the shadow. This is by a simplified comparison. The heart of the adversary. The adversary is perpetual evolution, storm, and chaos. The light aspect of the adversary is the order within the self, which comes through this changing and evolving chaos of self. The body of light, the body of shadow, is directly tied in with the holy guardian angel, the angelic familiar higher self. The ritual of the holy guardian angel, Azel Yusel, and the invocation of the adversary may be employed to achieve contact with this individualistic guide or initiatic genius. When you invoke, allow yourself to become inflamed into points of ecstasy. You will grow from this. Then we're going to, wow, I really went over the body of light. We're going to get into that. And then we'll get into actually which of one of these fellas, ladies, you'd like to call upon. There's some pretty cool ones in here. I actually had one because I have these marked. There's just some of these guys that you just got to go, well, that's just pretty damn cool. Let me give you, for instance, okay, here it is. Fabulous, fabulous book. In this one, the 11th spirit is a great and strong duke called Goshen. He appears like a Xenophus. He tells of all things past, present, and to come. He shows meaning of all questions you ask. He reconcileth friends and giveth honor and dignity to any and rules over 40 legions of spirits. This is his seal. His seal. And these are the type of cats that, you get to know them and understand them. And they'll tell you exactly what they can and cannot do. I'm convinced in many cases where people find sudden wealth, treasures, not all cases, there's a case of randomization of chance. But, with just a little bit of knowledge, you could do a lot. Now, I can hear some people say, well, this is ludicrous. Why would you encourage anyone to have communication with spirits, with demons, and with angels, fallen angels on top of that? Well, good sir, I'll tell you why. I've talked to the other side. I've seen those there angels, and I got to tell you, I don't see much difference. The one that those other angels that you think are so good, I got a lot of human blood on their hands, son. Now, I can't find this other guy. I can't find anything written where he ever harmed any human. There's nothing. And then you got to ask yourself, where all these people writing the Bible and all these different epistles and letters, and then they rile against this thing called Satan, the devil, and yada. They never talk about it. And the thing about it is, they're always accusing the devil, Christians, this God. They're accusing. Well, wait a minute. Doesn't the Bible say that Satan is the accuser? So if you're a Christian accusing someone of being filled with the devil or messing with the devil, then you're the accuser. That makes you the Satan. Makes me the fucking God. Makes me a fucking angel. The expletives are just merely for intent. I'm just saying. So, and we're going to continue. At least you're going to have some knowledge. If you don't read the books, that's cool. But I'll be able to give that knowledge and let you choose amongst yourselves. I mean, if you don't know, how do you know? Hey, Brian. Ah, Gaia, exactly, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Um, I mean, you can't go through this realm with just one perspective. You're a goddamn fool if that's all you do. There's enough awakened people here. We marvel at somehow people just they rather just stay freaking ignorant. I don't even know what they believe. I had this conversation just this weekend, and I told the person, "You don't know what God you serve." Oh yeah, yeah, trying to show in the Old Testament. And I said, that's an insult to every Jewish person out there. Your Christian God is not the Jewish God. So where did your Christian God come from? And if your Christian God is a God of love, then love would allow there would be no judgment. Why? Love covers a multitude of sin, right? So I'm wrong. I've never heard Lucifer say, you know what, I'm going to judge your ass. And you know what I told this individual? I said, here's the problem with your God. I can never live like your God because I'm not your God. I'm me. Now, if your God wanted me to act like it, then it should have made it. I'm me. And if me says I don't want any part of that, then me is just fine with that. You can't say that you have free will and then punish the individual because they exercise the free will. That's insane. All right, folks. Boy, I really went over. There you go, John. Exactly. Break on through the other side. I love it. Okay. Yeah, yeah, we'll continue. Tomorrow I got the ladies and looking forward to that. And who knows how we'll pick it up. Hey, Bonnie, Mary wins. Much love to you, darling. Everybody, thank you. And hey, lively show, right? Could you imagine that you're going to a dinner party and this is what you bring up? Everybody will be going, are you freaking kidding me? Yeah. Hmm.